it's time for the first Formula 4 race of the 2010 championship here at this 750 Motor Club meeting at Snetterton. Let's have a look at the grid as the cars head out on their green flag lap. Pole position goes to number 7, Robbie Watts, the 43-year-old shop fitter from Benfleet. Alongside him on the front row is Andrew Minette, and in 4th place is Erwin Smeech, who's a former bike racer, so he certainly has a need for speed. 7th place is Martin Byford. He is the first of the Class C cars here today, and he was the Formula 3 Class B champion back in 1995 and has also raced Seat Cupras and Renault Clios. And then at the back of the grid we have Michael Fryatt and David Woodsworth-Dale.
So, the cars ready for this first race of the season then for the Formula 4 Championship, and conditions will be difficult. A little bit greasy out here and the drivers on slick tyres. A little bit of dampness in the air as the cars come onto the grid. We've got Robbie Watts, who was the man who had some success in the championship last year, a few podium finishes, but as the red lights go out, the race gets underway then. And it's Watts and Minette on the front of the grid. Chris Kite there in the pale green coloured Dallara, the old Formula 3 car. Oh, and also a bit of wheel-to-wheel contact there between Malcolm Scott and Andrew Minette. Certainly Scott loses a little bit of ground. There's Jenny Scott, number 76, that's Malcolm's daughter, and another of the Class A cars, the Formula 4 Z-Tech cars, converted to run with the wings as well in US FF2000 style. But it's the red car that leads, so it's Andrew Minette that's at the front of the field, ahead of Robbie Watts. You can see the Revelations and the Van Diemen of Paul Presgraves battling around further down the order, but it is Andrew Minette, the Rainmeister, that leads the way.
The leaders then approaching the S's for the first time. Andrew Minette there in that red car is making good progress, getting away from Robbie Watts as they all thread their way through. Got a bit of side-by-side action further back. That's Malcolm Scott trying to go around the outside of Chris Kite into the S's, and he's made it through with Martin Byford just behind them actually. So Chris Kite is going defensive into the bomb hole. Byford goes around the outside, but not really going to get through there. Quite a lot of spray being kicked up. It's not that wet here at the moment, but it's wet enough to make conditions a bit difficult as Andrew Minette heads down into the Russell chicane for the first time, and he's pulled out quite a big advantage over Robbie Watts. Watts was convincingly quicker than Minette in qualifying, but right now it looks a lot closer as heading through the frame now. In fact, coming down into the Russell, we have quite a good battle going on with Paul Presgraves and Matt Bell as they head out over the start-finish straight. He's trying to close in on James Simons up in front of them.
There's Malcolm Scott then, and indeed Chris Kite just behind. In the yellow car there with the blue nose cone, that's Ollie Cyril. Now converted that car to run in Class 8 specification for this season. Did run in Class C before, which is for purely Formula 4 Z-Tech cars, such as that of Martin Byford, who's right behind him now, having a great race here in this car prepared by Gateshead College. But a spinner there is James Simons, and oh dear, there's some contact and some damage there as a result. So that's the McGall of James Simons, and Matt Bell, who we saw following him a moment ago. He was the driver that just couldn't avoid him as they went past, and he's lost a wheel from his Revelation.
Well, fortunately both drivers out of the car, but we do have a red flag here then at Snetterton in this Formula 4 race. We'll hope to get it restarted as quickly as possible. Now here's the spin there, not quite sure what happened, but Paul Presgraves going around the outside, as does Coburn, but then Matt Bell opted to go for the inside line to get past him into Riches, but really unlucky. And there you can see the rather damaged and sad looking car.
Cars on the grid then for the restart. A few gaps in the grid further back as a result of that damage. We're going to get this race back underway then. And it's go, and with Andrew Minette on pole position this time because they'd already completed a couple of laps or so of the race. Does he make a good start? It looks like he does, so Minette gets a bit of a twitch on there as he heads down to Richie's corner for the first time. It looks like Erwin Smeech in second place. Third place to Robbie Watts. There's Paul Presgraves, last year's Class C champion, then making his way through Richie's for the first time and down towards Sear corner. There we go. So it's Minette that leads, all four wheels over the white line. Not being matched by all of the drivers there, although some of them using that extra bit of tarmac runoff on the exit of the corner there. Oh, and someone using a little bit too much there, Jack.
David Woodsworth-Dale has spun it on the exit of Sear, got a little bit wobbly, and we're still facing the right way, so hopefully he can get that car going again. But yeah, great start from Erwin Smeech to move up into second position, and now it looks like Oliver Cyril is coming under break. In fact, running wide there, Martin Byford losing out to Malcolm Scott as they head down towards the bomb hole, and then obviously on towards Coram, and another person going past Martin Byford. I think that was Chris Kite in the pale green car as they head around Coram now once again. And look, on the first lap, Andrew Minette has pulled out a stonking lead over Smeech and Watts, who are battling quite hard now into Russell's chicane. Watts will want to try and get past as quickly as possible, and in fact he's in the slipstream here. What will Smeech do? He's going to stick to the inside line, hug the pit wall and go defensive. Will Robbie Watts have more straight line speed to get past? They cross the start finish line almost together. Let's see if we get a shot of them coming down into Riches, and all of a sudden Robbie Watts is on the inside line and is through. So obviously Smeech moved back to the outside. Robbie Watts took his opportunity and dived through on the inside. So as they head towards Sear, it'll be interesting to see if Smeech can come back. There's a move being made further back here, and now we have side by side with Michael Fryatt and Clive Yorath heading down into Riches. Fryatt on the inside, Yorath on the outside. Fryatt's in the wall. Fryatt loses it on the way into Riches, and well, he's devastated. Look at him holding his head in his hands, and well, that looked a little strange, that incident. And another red flag here at Snetterton.
Well, yes, let's have another look at that incident then. Very strange. Michael Fryatt, the number 88 car, you say, but I just sense there's something broken on that car. I think on the left front wheel it didn't look quite right, even before he bounced it off the barrier and broke the suspension on that completely.
Due to the 2 red flags earlier, we've had to wait until the end of the day to try and squeeze this Formula 4 race in. Hopefully we will make it to the end of the race this time. Once again, it's Andrew Minette on pole position from Robbie Watts in second and Erwin Smeech in third. The red lights come on then, and for the third time today this Formula 4 race is underway, and it's a good start from Malcolm Scott there, coming through the middle. Looks like he was going to dissect the 2 leaders perhaps as they head down into Riches for the first time. Indeed, that's Malcolm Scott in the lead of the race, is it? No, Robbie Watts has managed to hold on the outside, so a disastrous start this time for Andrew Minette. There's Paul Presgraves heading through, but it is quite a lot wetter now than it was for the first 2 start attempts earlier in the day. So as the leaders come through Sear, it's Robbie Watts going very, very wide. In fact, he's almost 3 abreast as they head down onto the Revit straight for the first time, and round goes Paul Presgraves. He spins off early, and that's Robbie Watts off on the grass on the Revit straight. Robbie Watts, race leader, is off the track.
Unfortunate really for these drivers, because it had dried up, but it then got much wetter again just before the start of this race. Most of the drivers, I noticed, as Malcolm Scott slices his way through there, have gone for slicks, but Martin Byford, he was on the grid. A late call to go on to wet tyres for him, and look, he's up in third place as the leaders are battling. It's Andrew Minette on the inside line for Coram Kerr, and it gets back ahead of Malcolm Scott, who you can see has done a little bit of damage to his front wing there, but look for Martin Byford coming through on the right hand side of the shot there. He is right with the 2 leaders.
Yes, indeed, it was a collision with Andrew Minette that has given Malcolm Scott that bent front wing. But as they head over the start-finish straight, Martin Byford has simply powered past Andrew Minette, so he's really doing better with that wet-up setup than some of the other drivers out there as they head down into Riches once again. Malcolm Scott then in the lead, but I don't think Byford is in the clear for second place yet. It looks like Minette is pretty racy. There's Oliver Cyril keeping tabs on both of them as well as they head down into Sear once again, and darting out there is Minette trying to look at the inside. Is he? Yes, side by side through Sear, a little bit sideways for Minette, and even more sideways for Erwin Smeech, facing the wrong way down at Sear corner. Hopefully he can get that restarted again, and straight on is the leader. That's Malcolm Scott going straight on down at the S's. Is that going to give Martin Byford a chance to get past?
Let's have a look. Yes, it does. So Martin Byford it is that leads, because there's been a moment too. The S is just out of our sight for Andrew Minette, who drops down, I think, to 4th position as a result of that. So Martin Byford leads the race in a Class C car. I just can't recall this happening before. And off, 2 cars off here, and one of those is Robbie Watts. The other was Chris Kite. It looks like they've had a coming together.
Yeah, Robbie Watts gesticulating there to Chris Kite. He's obviously not very happy at all. Kite's car doesn't look too badly damaged actually, but certainly Robbie Watts has no front wing. Kite looking for a safe place to return onto the track.
And problems there for one of the revelations as well, his hand in the air, but here comes Martin Byford up to take the checkered flag. And there is team who prepared this car for him, absolutely jubilant at the end of 9 minutes plus 1 lap of racing. Martin Byford, the ex-Formula 3 champion, takes the checkered flag. Andrew Minette indeed comes home in second place. Usually very good in the wet. He won at Anglesey last year, but could only manage second here. And Malcolm Scott, despite his excursions, takes third place. Let's call in and have a look at the results now. Martin Byford it was that won in the end by 6 seconds from Minette, with Malcolm Scott in third place. Fastest lap of the race though did go to Minette, by the way, a 1:25.03. about 8/10 quicker than Byford managed. Paul Presgrove's there in 9th, Clive Jonathan 10th, but quite a few drivers who didn't start or didn't finish.
It's a great result, especially for these guys behind us here. How hard do they work on this car?
Oh well, at the end of the day, the car's been owned and brought and prepared by Gateshead College. This is the first race they've had out, the first race in a single-seater, and we come out with not just a class win, an overall win. It's absolutely phenomenal. It just goes to prove that, well, hopefully we're pointing these guys in the right direction in car preparation, and we're getting them to learn about the work ethics within a motorsport and with race teams, and how you set a car up, all these things, as well as what they have to do in the classroom on the paperwork side. They do all the theory side, and then they come and do the practical stuff with us. And here's the result. Look at that, a trophy first time out.